Hey guys, I just want to make a quick video showing some different ways that you can do character animation. Four different kind of ways of doing character animation with Mechanim based characters using Cinema Director. So what I've done is I've created four different Y-bots, basic little Mechanim robot characters, and I've assigned them all unique or semi-unique character controller or animators. So if I click on animator here, I'm going to click on my first one here, Y-bot manual, and you'll see that it has a simple animator with an idle animation and then a walking and a fist pump animation, but they're disconnected. There's no transitions between them. The first Y-bot has the same animation controller. Again, no transitions. Y-bot 2, however, now has transitions created between the different animations, and the conditions for these transitions are controlled by a bool. So I have a walk when set to true will change the animation. I have a list of parameters here. Okay. So what I want to show you is how you can use the Mechanim transitions, or you can use Cinema Director Mechanim transitions in order to control your animations. The first basic thing you want to do is kind of select your first object or your first character. That's going to be this Y-bot manual, and I'm going to create, and I'm going to create a character tracked group. This is inside my first cutscene. Under the assign character button right here, I'm going to select, in this case, Y-bot manual, my first one, and then it's going to turn green. That's going to assign the character. So far I have a empty timeline. I now have a track group selected, and now I just want to create an animation. So I'm going to click on the plus, add a Mechanim track, because I want to play a Mechanim animation clip. I'm going to click on this, and it's going to drop down and allow me to add one. I can either right click in the timeline and add new, so animator, play Mechanim animation, and it's going to add me a little tick here. Or I can also click on the plus animator, play Mechanim animation, and it'll add me a second one. Okay, these little ticks are going to be the fire times in our timeline of when the animation will fire. Okay, this is simply broke down to a fire time, which is when it'll happen, the state name that you're wanting it to fire, so the animation name, and then which layer that it appears on if you have multiple layers of animation. So in this case, what I'm going to do is start about a second in. Okay, and I want it to do the walking animation. So to state name, walking. Okay. Easy way you can also do this is click on the title, Command C, Command V, right back into the space. So for example, fist pump, if I want to make that my next animation, I can do a fist pump, highlight it, Command C, Command V, right in there. So right now what I have happening, or should have happening, is the character will start walking at about 1 second. Let's bring that down to about half a second. And then at the 2 second mark it will play the fist bump animation. So here goes. Make sure you hit the refresh button since it is Mechanim and hit play. So there our character goes, and we can use the live preview to scrub. So it's playing its idle animation by default. Whatever your idle default animation will be, whenever the cutscene starts, that's what the characters will use. So whatever you want characters to be doing at the beginning of an animation, set that as your default idle. Once I tell it to do something, it's going to immediately click into. So you see it goes straight from the idle pose into this walking pose to immediately start playing that animation. The same thing will happen when I go to the fist bump. You'll see it immediately stop and start playing the fist bump animation. Again, the way these animations are set up is there's no transitions, so once it finishes the fist bump transition, it's going to stop animating. So there's no return to idle, there's no continued animation. It's just going to play that animation till it's done, and then you have to tell it to do something else. Okay, so this is how it works with the play animation. Not smooth transitions, little jerky, but everything kind of happens the way that the animation was supposed to happen. It's like playing individual clips in sequence. Alright, so for our next character, I'm going to create another character group. This character group, I'm going to assign something new. Let's get out of preview mode a minute. Hit stop. Assign new one. So let's go with the regular Ybot. Now he's using the same controller. Ybot's using the same controller. I'm just going to use a different kind of animation mode. So instead of doing, add another Mechanim track, instead of using the play Mechanim animation, I'm going to do a crossfade animator. So I'm going to set that at this little half-second mark. Set the animation name to walk. And you'll notice that it has a transition duration. Okay? Do the same thing. Add new animator. Crossfade animator. Animation state. Fist pump. Transition duration 1. Now transition duration 1 is going to be way too long, but just for example's sake, I'll go ahead and play this. And so, as you can see, our poor guy here doesn't end up doing much of anything. This is because our transition is set way too long. If we change this and shorten up the duration, we might be able to create a nice fade. So what I'm going to do is go to my crossfade and hit stop. Go to my crossfade, transition duration. Let's say that's to a 0.1. And the crossfade animator for fist bump, let's say that to a 0.2. So this is like 200 milliseconds or 100 milliseconds, something short. And now let's hit play. Alright, so we hit play. Alright, and we immediately see there's a difference here. Okay, the first guy walks a little further, but his transitions are so much harsher. So in the case of starting to walk, you'll see he pops into place with the starting of the walk. With the crossfade, we see a little bit of the delay, a little bit of smoothing transition that goes on. We also see him start to kind of stop the walk, the crossfade into the fist bump. But again, after the fist bump animation's over with, you'll see he goes back to just a plain animation, nothing going on. So this works well if we want to make our own manual transitions. If you want to just kind of string a bunch of animations together and not have to worry about the controller too much. Perfect for one-time events or things that we're kind of trying to manually time. However, if we have characters that are going to interact a little bit more, kind of do a bunch of stuff looping, kind of have some more behavior things, we might want to use more of a Mechanim controller with its own transitions added. This will require a little bit more setup. However, you can use now the Mechanim controller to control your transition length and how you want the different things to work. This also opens up how to use animation layers and other ways to build more complicated actions. So in the case of this controller, for our Ybot 2, I have a wait shift standing that transitions to a walking and back to an idle. The walking and the standing can both transition to a fist bump, which will then be able to transition back to an idle. They are controlled, the transitions are controlled by a walk, by a bool. Okay? What we can do inside of our director is assign that bool. Alright? So instead of needing to play an animation, all we need to do is set the bool in order to force the Mechanim controller to the different settings or states. Alright, so to do this, I'm going to create a new character group. Now I'm starting to get kind of complicated on my character groups here, so let's change this one. This is our first guy. Let's rename it to Ybot Manual. The second group, we'll rename it to Ybot 1, and this third one will be Ybot 2, and I'll go ahead and assign it to the Ybot 2 model inside the scene. Now I will add a Mechanim track, and instead of one of the animator play animations, I'm just going to use a set bool. And set bool, if we go up to our base layer here, we have wait shift, we have walking, and I have a walk bool. So I'm going to change the bool name to walk and set the value to true. Okay, what this is going to do, if we play, is set that value to a bool, or let's set that bool value to true. When we set it to true, that means that it's now going to start walking and, well, won't really stop. So let's stop this, go to the bool, we'll set a new bool. So add new animator bool. And then from here, set that to walk for a moment, set the value to false, and we'll set it around where the crossfades are. We'll go ahead and refresh and hit play. And so you can see it's automatically transitioning. It's creating the fades for us. So in this case, we want to set that bool from walk to pump. Set that value to true. Hit refresh. Let's see what this does. So we walk and then goes into the fist pump. And then you'll see that it finishes that animation and begins to walking again. Why? Because we've started initializing the Mechanim controller. So it's now going to start the loop that it knows to do, because the fist pump finishes, so it goes back, and walking is set to true, so it goes and starts walking again. And so our character is just going to continue to keep walking off the page. So what we want to end up doing here is, if we set the fist bump to true and we want to go back to just a standard idle, then what we need to do is add a new animator set bool. In this case, I can also change that to, let's say, stop walk here. So we'll change walk to a value of 0, unchecked. And then let's take this one here, set bool of fist pump, and we can go ahead and create a new one. Set bool. This will be pump, value of nil. And we'll just kind of set these two kind of close together. Go ahead, hit refresh, and play. And now our guy will walk, stop, fist pump, and then he will go back into his standard original idle pose. So he's not going to stop completely. He's now going to go back into idle, waiting for your next command. Lastly, if we want to use this using the layers, we can build more complicated animations. So in this case, I want to create actually, instead of creating a new one, let's just duplicate ybot2. And instead of it using ybot2, what we'll do is we'll change that to ybot3. Hold on to our same states, rename it so that we now have ybot3, keep everything to where we can understand it. So now we have set bool, we have it doing the fist pump, and so what should happen here is it should behave the exact same way the other guy does. There we go. Now with ybot3, what I've done is I've added an extra layer, an extra parameter called rifle, and under layers he has a wave animation. Under this on this wave layer, I've added a rifle run, which will make his hands kind of act like they're holding a rifle. So he goes from idle to kind of a rifle run. What I've done with that is attach a legs mask, and that mask, if we look at the humanoid, deactivates the leg portion. So it lets the lower half of our model and the upper half of our model do two completely different things. So what we want to do is have him switch from doing the fist pump to instead moving, carrying a rifle. So I'm going to go to our ybot3. So this one here is our walk, where we turn the walk off. We're not really going to need that anymore. And here's our fist pump, where we turn this off. So let's leave the fist pump deactivation here. So he's not going to continue to fist pump. But instead of stopping to walk, what I want to do is change this to rifle and set the value to true. Alright, once we've done that, let's move the walk a little bit further down so he has time to do a little bit of a fist pump. We'll hit refresh and hit play. So here you can see that he is going to continue along and then start walking as well. So if we back this up, let's zoom in just a little bit here and scrub through. You'll see that he starts walking the exact same. And these guys will walk a little further than our transition guy out to max here. Starts transitioning into the fist bump animation based upon our timings inside the Mechanim controller. And then once that happens, our stop walk, or in this case is actually going to be rifle, he'll transition only his upper body into it. And then once he finishes the time for his fist bump, what's going to happen is he's going to start his walking animation again. So now the top of his torso will be using, and his legs will be using the walk, while the arms will be using the carry rifle. All right.